Good evening and welcome to an exciting time tonight on The Conversation. I am Sola Adesoye, the host of The Conversation, and tonight promises to be such an impactful time as we focus on, the burning issue in our nation that's reflective in the mood of the nation today. Hashtag NSAS. And tonight we'll be looking at the issues and the solutions. And I believe that this is going to be, such a burden relieving moment for you as you just hear us have this conversation tonight. So, as has been a practice right now, get your devices, and I want you to just click the share button and share it. Create a watch party. If you're on Facebook, you can copy the link, and just share it with your friends on WhatsApp and bring everybody, onto this platform today. So we just want you to do that quickly and get everyone on board. Now, this has become a pattern as well with me hosting and co-hosting this broadcast tonight is none other person but Sola Adesoye P. Show.
Sir, it's good to be here.
Loud it.
Increase the volume.
Increase the volume.
Yes.
Sorosoke.
Sorosoke.
Well, that's the hashtag right now,
Yes,
and it really just has been quite an amazing time and season, and very emotional as well for us as a country.
Sir. Very emotional for me. I don't think I've cried in a long time like I did 2 days ago.
I know.
I don't think I have.
It's just been really rough.
It's been,
And that's the general mood of the country right now.
Yeah.
The pain, the hurt,
yes,
the trauma itself can't really be quantified
at all.
and we're dealing with an issue that bothers on young people. And I'm older, so I've learned to hold my emotions significantly, but you've got young people who are still growing up and who are still trying to navigate the terrain, especially of this country. And I can only imagine what it has been like. It's tough.
It's tough.
I know it's tough.
Yes.
Well, with me on this platform this evening, a powerful team of young people who have assembled to be part of this broadcast. And so I'm going to be introducing them one by one. We have in the yellow shirt, and I'm calling the color of her shirt because she stands out and she's a reference point. Damilola, good to have you here this evening. And next to her is Aliyah. Really good having you. Awesome. And we have B-Van. Well, good to have you here, B-Van. And we've got, maybe I'll switch to the end, Egosa. Great having you. Chaku. And Osaz as well. And De Sola. And we've got Laulu Lu right at the back. And Ifeanyi. Great having you here, and Godwin. Awesome young people. I mean, oh my, where do we start this from? Let me begin by taking us back to 2010, 2020. And I'd want us to sing the national anthem. Because that night, while young people like you were being fired at by soldiers, many of them were holding the Nigerian flag. And you could sense the emotions. I mean, I heard one of the audios, and you could sense the emotion in their voices as they sang the national anthem. The national anthem of any country is supposed to unify us. It's supposed to bind us together. And here were these teams of young people who, in the midst of death, staring death in their faces, were still singing the national anthem. So to kick start this program. And for those of you who are at home as well, you can join us to sing again. If you're just joining this broadcast, this is The Conversation, and it's coming on the platform of the Lighthouse Church. And I am your host, Sola Adesoye. Click the share button and let's share this right now. And let's just and join with us this evening as we sing the national anthem in unison. Are you guys ready? All right. Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call obey, to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and mind, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. Thank you so much. That was beautifully sung. And I'd want us to jumpstart this conversation tonight by looking at the beginning of this great movement, and I must call it a great movement, powerful movement, one that I have not seen happen like this, especially spearheaded by young people. How did this all start? This movement that began with a hashtag NSAS. How did it all start? So the floor is open to you.
Aliyah, you want to tell us how it started?
Okay, thank you very much for having me here.
So, okay.
So it didn't just start 10 days ago or 11 days ago. NSAS has been a conversation that has been happening on social media for years now. The special anti-robbery force, or whatever the squad has been targeting and attacking, killing, raping, torturing the youth for a very long time to come. That is how I don't know if you guys are popular, like converse with Twitter, but Shega Links, that's how he became popular, because he was the first person to spearhead that movement and say, look, these people are killing people too much. I don't know how he got switched to the other side and became part of the police force, but for a very long time he was the spokesperson for the NSAS movement. And then over time, right, so many people came out, they shared their experiences, they tweeted, they Facebooked, they Instagrammed and shared so much. It had even gotten all the way to there's this popular New York guy, Humans of New York. He posted a story about a girl who was taken to the ATM by a couple of SARS officials, gun in hand, pointed at her and told her, remove every single thing in your account and give us. And that's the reality of many youths in Nigeria. I know people who have been arrested and taken to the prison or their jail in Lagos and kept in jail for about 3 days, all because he had locks, he looked in a particular way, and he was stereotyped.
Stereotyped, yes.
He was stereotyped to look like a Yahoo boy because Yahoo boys had a particular look and behavior. He watched people die in front of him. People were shot in his presence. He still has PTSD from that moment. Now, fast forward to 2020, COVID came. COVID took a lot of people, but then COVID brought a lot of realizations to Nigerians. It made us realize that, look, if you take away our movement, you take away a lot of things. Certain things are now realities for us. And we youth sat down. I don't know about you guys, but I sat down and I realized that, look, I can actually survive on 50,000 naira in a month, though. If there is light, if there is water, if there is good road, I don't need to spend thousands of naira on on fuel, on certain things. I can survive in a month if I have this particular amount, because we all experience pay cuts. But then one problem that we kept realizing was that during COVID alone, before COVID had killed anybody, it was reported that SARS had already killed about 18 people in Nigeria. Why?
Wow.
Why? People came out and protested. They spoke on the phones, spoke on Twitter. It happened and it happened. Nobody did anything about it. I know there was something that happened during COVID again. There was a protest. There was an outcry. It happened. Then all of a sudden, in October 2020, we are getting news online that the federal government has already given an over-empowered group of people the power to stop and search without a warrant. You are telling us that these people who already have the power to kill us and oppress us now have more power to kill us and oppress us. Then all of a sudden, I remember the first person who tweeted this, Runtown, the guy who sang Mad Over You.
Yeah.
He was tired. He tweeted, look, and a couple of people had tweeted. He tweeted, look, Thursday is Thursday. I am going out to protest because I am tired of being killed.
Wow.
And then people came out. He wasn't the only one that came out. People came out on Thursday, the 11th, if I'm not mistaken, of October. Lekki Toll Gate, they closed it down. Then it continued for a couple of days. The first one that happened here in Abuja was either on Saturday or Sunday. But then it was
self-igniting.
Everybody came out because then you started to realize that this wasn't just a one-person problem. People started to come and tell their stories. People started to come and tell their experiences. And you realize that, look, they would either extort you, kill you, torture you, and it was happening all around the country. Why? The one that pained my heart the most was in Anambra State. This man that is currently on the run right now, apparently he has run to Ghana. He's responsible for the death of over 6,000 people in Anambra State. Women, children,
wow.
Every single, that it is so popular. Their police station is so popular that if you go there, you know that you're probably never going to come back out.
Wow.
How is it that the police stations in Nigeria have now become torture zones? My father was telling me that when he was young, before he joined the military, he knew policemen to ask for 20 naira. Before I was even thought of being born, it was already synonymous with the Nigerian police that you can bribe them with 20 naira. Now it's 2,000, 20,000 naira, 200,000 naira, but the 400, it has just multiplied exponentially.
They've upped the toll.
That is now the current reality we have faced and we are facing. And it's just one thing I now want to, how it actually started. People now came, and then when you go online, you start wondering who was the leader, who started this. We had no leader.
No leader. I mean, that's really amazing about this movement.
No leader. And it still shocks the government till date because they are wondering how is it that this youth can be so organized. The way the response actually started, right? The whole NSAS response was that one person tweeted, please, who can donate 50,000 naira? So that we can feed some of the people who need food. People are sleeping, they need to be protected. Who can just donate 50,000 naira? That's how from 50,000 naira, it became 5 million naira, 10 million naira, to the point where we got 71 million naira. Then Jack now donated. And you can imagine a protest that started on Twitter had so much growth that so many people understood what was happening. They came out, mothers, children, the people that you look on the streets are like, this person doesn't have problems. People have been affected by it. So you can imagine. You can just imagine.
Really amazing. I mean, thank you, Aliyah, for taking us through, and a lovely journey, because there are people out there who honestly don't even know how it started. They just woke up to, the protest. And, you mentioned Sega Links, and I got to know Sega Link on Twitter, and it became I don't know whether Robin Hood is the hero who would, he was speaking for the youth, but he was defender of the youth. And if you were ever assaulted by the police and you tagged him on Twitter, he's the person you call. And I didn't even know much about Rugged Man, but he was an arrowhead. And the truth is, today you don't hear much of Sega Link, especially with the movement. But it's good to know, and it's good for people to know that, I mean, he was a major, major, major influencer. And for about 4 years, he had been on this thing. Now, it bothers me, and I don't know, what anyone else would want to say. It bothers me that all of this was going on Twitter and on Instagram, and the government did nothing about it. This is 4 years. I don't know whether Bevan would like to respond to that, or Damilo, because it's been on, and government is on Twitter and on other platforms, and yet you're seeing all of this happen. People are getting, stereotyping is going on. People are getting arrested, raped, and it's being put out there. You're seeing a Sega Link defend people, and there was silence. Was that really, could that have helped to fuel all of this that was going on? The fact that nobody was listening.
Okay, so I think there has always been a very wide disconnect between government in Nigeria and the people of Nigeria. So regardless of the fact that it has always been on Twitter, people have talked about it, people have said things, Twitter, Instagram, and a lot of other social media. That attitude of just keep talking, I think the government has developed over time a very thick skin to whatever people are saying, to whatever people are doing. Because for a responsible government, you can't have Twitter going on fire every day because of your own activities, because of your own engagements, because of your responsibilities, and there is nothing you're doing about it because you just think there's nothing anybody can do. Twitter has become a platform for like the whole world to know what is happening. Like they say, the internet has made the world a global village.
Yeah.
So with Twitter, if you're technical enough, if you're posting out something on Twitter, you call out people. You hashtag people. You use the @ sign to call out a particular group of people or a particular organization of people. So it's like telling them, I am reporting this issue to you. I am bringing this issue to your awareness. So I think the problem is the government, because of its attitude of I don't care, have just decided that you can just continue to talk if you like.
So there's a huge disconnect.
There's a huge disconnect.
Thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity. Really, for social media, I think the government has really underestimated the power of social media. That's why you still see government agencies that don't even have Twitter handles, social media and handles. They are not on any social media handle. They're just working in silos.
Wow.
They don't know that there is actually power in making use of this tool to advocate. And this tool, government has forgotten that social media is an advocacy tool, most especially Twitter. Because you want to report a lot of things. Okay, I was in a meeting today and we could still hear government organizations that don't even have a Twitter handle. They don't have they're not on WhatsApp. They are not on anything.
Wow.
So what are you doing? What
In
exactly
2020.
are you doing in 2020? That means you're still in the I don't know. You are just in some
Stone
world
Age.
in the Stone Age. Because it's sad. Like you have government agencies that cannot attend to something on social media. Social media is where you really meet like the crock of people in Nigeria, because the crock of people are youths, young people. So where do you meet them? You meet them on social media.
But I get your feel, but they are there, but not as effective.
They are silent.
So generally, they have the platforms, but they don't understand how to effectively use it, and even to take what is being tweeted or shared seriously. Bevan wanted to say something.
So with respect to what she said about some organizations don't even have a Twitter handle and all that. Even for those that have, so basically you cannot give what you don't have. So a situation, a system where you have people being employed to do things not based on merit, not based on their capacity, not based on efficiency. You would have people there in those offices. Is it not ridiculous that you find them in those offices, but you just find that the offices are ineffective? This is because they actually don't even know what to do. And then they are there because I know somebody, or they are there because my uncle is somebody's father's cousin or something, and all of those type of reasons. So we had better gone back to giving people responsibilities and positions to hold based on their capacity, based on efficiency, and based on what they can offer.
Awesome. Gosa,
Yes.
let's feel your pulse
Yes,
on this matter.
just to add to what Bevan said, I think he's very correct. There are people that have been employed to handle social media platforms for these organizations. Some of them don't know what they are doing, but then I know some people who work for some government organizations handling social media. They actually know what they are doing, but when they try to tell the older generation, if I can say that, what's going on, that this is where you can hear the voices, they don't care. And one thing about the Nigerian government we've seen over the years, if it does not affect their revenue,
Yes.
bottom line, they don't care. We've seen Ken Saro-Wiwa in the past talk about Niger Delta and everything. What happened? They killed him. Until the Niger Delta militants came out, that's when they did the amnesty program. They really don't care till you touch their source of income. And we saw it happen on Monday.
Okay, so let me ask this blanket question. Do you feel that government cares about young people in Nigeria?
Usas.
Okay, so maybe we'll take a poll. Before Usas comes up, yes or no?
No.
No. So
No.
is there any yes?
No.
Anybody saying yes, they care? They care, Usas?
They don't.
Okay, so the consensus here tonight is government doesn't care. And the reason I'm highlighting that is because we're still going to go back to NSAS and see that could have been a catalyst of some sort. So, Usas, let's hear from you.
Government don't care. And it's very simple. Because of this ideology, with regards to the fact that the other guy seems to know, excuse me, the other guy seems to have the solution to every problem. For example, my dad, whenever I engage my dad in an interaction, the only thing I get, you just small boy. What do you know?
Wow.
So
Okay.
I'll take a back seat. At times I tend to tell my dad again that, see, times have changed, approaches have changed. You must change with the changing times. So government just need to understand that, see, times have changed. They need to come down to our level for operational efficiency and effectiveness in their governance. For example, the Twitter and the social media issue, for example, I see no reason why government should not be so effective on social media. I see no reason. Government knows, but they choose to act in a manner that is inconsistent with good governance. With the issue of NSAS has been there from let's say 4 or 5 years ago, but yet government choose to just sit aside and allow things get terrible.
And they had disbanded them before or tried to.
Yes, four
times.
In fact, let me lay a good example. Like this simple one for the SARS head in Anambra, for example.
Yes.
He served under a prudent governor, Peter Obi.
Yes.
But how come his atrocity could not get to the governor? Is what still baffles me to today. Then how come his atrocities could not get to the present governor, Willie Obiano?
Who appointed
him.
Exactly. So it's a shocker to me. People had to cry before Willie Obiano said, you know what? I hereby relieve you of your job.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just make sense to me.
And that took a lot of pressure too,
Exactly.
on social media. And one thought, I was following it and I thought it will happen like that.
Yeah.
But it almost seems like, well, they are, what do you call them? Agents that government uses themselves to assault citizens, and therefore they love to have those people around them.
It was reluctantly
So
done.
government knows all these things. They just choose to just watch and just ignore.
So we can't say they are ignorant. They can't claim ignorance.
No, they are not. They are not. Government is
This sort
they are
of,
aware.
yeah, okay.
Because they are corruption, and because if they're effective, you can see the wrong things they're doing. You can easily pick, but when they are ineffective, it's easier. It's one of the reasons we can't move to electronic system, because it's easier to rig elections when you're using paper. So the government, I think that they know that they can change, they know that they can be better, but they would not, because it's not going to serve their purpose. It's not going to be favorable to them.
Yeah. Lalu, you want to add something to it?
Okay, so when you have a nation that has a president and he issues a speech saying that the youths of the country are lazy.
Oh boy.
There we go.
Lazy
Lazy
Nigerian
youths.
youths. So
To some degree, I think that's what's also motivated a lot of people to come out during these protests. But once you issue a statement condemning people for being lazy, and then you look back at the country and you realize that the country is churning out a lot of graduates who have no jobs to go to. You know?
yeah.
I remember hearing a statement that at a point in time, you would go do your NYSC and people would start, whilst you're doing your youth service, their jobs lining up for
Yes.
you. But now
Yeah,
it's
in our time, I mean, I was graduating out of university and on convocation ground, my name was announced. I had a job waiting for me. That's before my youth service. Yeah.
I got the job offer while I was in my final year.
So
Wow.
Can't relate.
Yes, final year, KPMG.
I mean, that happened in our time. And, you know, right now you've got unemployment is, and again, somebody has mentioned the merit factor, where even though you know you've got competence and capacity, Nigeria has become who know who and who you know. And sadly, we run a system where the major corporations that are owned by government, including, you know, civil service, are the express reserve for the elite, civil servants who are in the system, you know, and friends of the elite. And so the Nigerian youth, sadly, with unemployment rates high up there, I don't know I know you guys are not happy, but it's again obvious that beyond NSAS, beyond this assault by SARS officers, there's been there are lots, you know, of other issues. Maybe Chaku, you what issues are there? Because I can see that NSAS is a vehicle, or ended up being a vehicle to express the pain, the frustration. So let's look what else, what other issues do you think have been bottled up by you guys?
Just like you said, NSAS is just the hashtag for corruption, is the hashtag for insecurity.
So you think corruption is still rife in Nigeria?
Yes.
But the government of the days is riding on the fact that, on the mantra of fighting corruption.
That they are fighting on the mantra of corruption, and our society is a society of laws, and there are laid down procedures in fighting corruption. For you to come out to say you are fighting corruption, you must give us the list of those you've prosecuted, those the courts have convicted. So if you're fighting corruption, we must see results, and we're not seeing results. We're only seeing results on the major state TV and on papers and on social medias, and so we can't really say the state or the government is truly fighting corruption. So the NSAS is also a call for the government to increase their anti-corruption fight.
Okay.
To truly fight corruption, and also take care of the economy.
Okay.
Because there are no jobs, just like you rightly said. The economy is nothing to talk about. It's very difficult. This morning I was talking with my principal in my office, and he was just lamenting that it's very, very difficult to run a business in Nigeria.
The environment is hostile to businesses.
A business, and my office is just a law firm. So if a law firm is complaining, how much more somebody who is into buying and selling?
Okay, we have another lawyer in the house.
Yes.
Ifeanyi. So we've corruption, the economy itself. What are the factors in the environment do you think is fueling this? Because again, government seems to blame COVID for everything that's wrong in the country now. In other words, the economy is bad because of COVID. There are no jobs because of COVID. Things are tough because of COVID. You know. Let's get your take on it.
First, I would say the government doesn't know how to take responsibility without throwing blames. Ever since this government came into power, they've been known to be throwing blames. So it's PDP, it's the lazy youth, it's COVID. Now COVID is the bad boy, you know. So that's what No, I'm restraining myself.
yes.
And COVID can't talk back.
No, COVID can't talk back. So
Yes.
you just throw it on COVID. If you throw it on PDP, the spokesman will speak up. No, COVID doesn't have anybody to speak on his behalf, unfortunately. And then another thing again is we just like to talk in this country. I think we just enjoy giving speeches. Maybe a minister or a governor will just give a speech and then he'll go home to his wife and say, "Hey, how was my speech? It was lovely. Okay, good. Well, maybe you just tweak a little bit. Okay, next time I'll do well." I think that's what they do. They just enjoy giving speeches, and that's what they just like to. So after talking, they go home, they celebrate what they've talked about, and then it's all talk. Another thing I will say again is we have a culture in this country, and the culture is corruption. The culture is nepotism, tribalism, and impunity. It's a culture. That is why her father will tell her that in his days, police used to collect 20 naira. And in our own days, because dollar has gone up, they are collecting 400,000. So it's a culture. And if we don't deal with the culture, there's a temptation that even if some of us who are speaking out today, we get into the system and find ourselves being corrupt. It's a culture. We need to deal with that culture. So the culture of corruption, lack of responsibility.
Okay.
And if I may just go a little bit legal, and I'm sure my guys here will understand what I'm talking about. The fact that the government doesn't see basic things as fundamental rights. And that is what's in our constitution. Basic things, education, healthcare, economic welfare, security, all of these, they don't see it as a fundamental right. They just call it derivatives. I mean, these are things we just give you, but you can't go to court to enforce it.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. So it's until we change that in the constitution, and then until we're able to judge the leaders by these things, we'll come back here again and repeat the same thing.
So you've been called lazy Nigerian youths. Do you consider yourselves to be lazy?
We're not lazy.
You're not talking that.
Sorry, sir. Just to add to, we're not lazy, sir.
Sir, I would like to give an instance. On Saturday, because I do catering business alongside my
Main job, yeah. 9 to 5 job.
9 to 5 job. So on Saturday, I needed to go to the market to fix a meal for a client. And I went to the market. I saw these guys. These guys are grinding something at Taco Market. This guy was dipping his hands into plastic with pepper, lots of pepper, and he was blending. And I kept looking around. I saw young boys doing one or two things. Nobody was sitting. I saw one was picking vegetables. Everybody was doing something. And in my mind, I was like, Nigerians are hustlers. Nigerians look for something. They just look for something to do. Something.
Just to make ends meet.
There was someone doing something. Even as I was standing, someone was still asking me, "Do you want to make your hair? What do you like?" I was like, these people are hardworking people. They just get something and they're already perfect at it. They want to do something with their hands. Then speaking of corruption, sir, do you know that in Nigeria, we have a lot of international donor organizations that are dropping tons of money, millions of dollars just to fight corruption, and nothing has changed in the system. We just keep having different acts coming up, different laws coming up, different policies coming up. Everybody's drafting something, everybody's saying something, but nothing is done. Everything is just paperwork. Every right, different rights are just coming up. Child Rights Act, this one, education rights, nothing. Everything is just audio.
Sorry, sir. Isn't it amazing how Nigerians thrive in other parts of the world except in Nigeria? So how could they be lazy and still do well in other parts of the world except in Nigeria? I think it's a systemic problem.
Okay.
Then to talk about the issue of law that Barrister Ifeanyi talked about, sir, I think it's a situation where you're beating a child, yet you want to stop him from crying. So the NSAS was like the last straw that broke the camel's back. So there has been a lot of things that has been wrong with people. People have been bottling up. People have been keeping quiet. But then we're suffering this. Then on top of this, you add police brutality.
Yeah.
At this point, we had reached the wall.
Okay.
Then on the side of the police also, the responsibility of the government. So I hear that some police people earn as low as 9,000 naira. Now, I don't know what 9,000
whether
naira.
they earn, just say they are take-home
Their
pay.
take-home pay
So on
is as low
paper,
as
they're
9,000
earning more,
naira.
but yeah.
Take home is
Exactly.
9K.
So the police system also is already really bad.
It's
So they
basically
see
set for corruption.
Yes.
It's set
So
to, yeah.
there's a rule in business that the way you treat your employees will show in how they treat your business or your customers. So in this case, the Nigerian government is the employee, the police, sorry, is the employer, the police is the employee, the Nigerian citizens are the customers. So because of how badly the Nigerian government is treating her employees, the police, it is reflecting on how they are carrying out the assignment of security and safeguarding lives and property on the citizens. So there's a very bad system of responsibility and
Sola, I don't think I've heard your voice at all.
Godwin.
You seem to have, and Godwin too.
Okay, while we're on this their salaries, as much as I think that yes, the police don't earn enough, they earn typically around the same range civil servants earn in Nigeria. And I don't think it justifies their brutality to I agree, the government is not treating its citizens right. The government is not treating every one of us right. Okay. We are all suffering. But I think because they have arms, they have ammunition, they have extra stuff that gives them power to kill a typical. Why will a policeman come and say that if I shoot you, won't you die? How
if I shoot you, nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen. Won't you? I don't get. I think it's just the power. But yes, we need to reform civil servants generally, but not just police, civil servants, everyone. But yes, I agree.
So you use the word reform. So we start from reform the police. But what you're saying is that the whole of Nigeria needs
the whole of Nigeria
needs to be reformed. Godwin.
Okay, thanks for this opportunity. What I want to talk about right now to input on this is the fact that the elites and the political classes, they tend to, what they succeeded in doing over the years is to make us feel what we deserve is a favor.
Yeah.
It looks like a favor they are doing to us, so we don't see it as a right. Whatever little thing they are able to accomplish, you see a senator come to a community and install pole wire for what he calls a project, not even the transformer, a pole wire.
Or a culvert,
and they clap for him.
Or culvert.
Yes, and it will be caught and it will be shown on the media. They will take pictures and they are bragging about it, and people are happy because he has done something when he has actually done nothing.
You know, and that's why I don't know, but you see the government splurge out images of we're building this road, we're doing this, and it's almost like you should be happy with us. You know, we're building a road, and those things in the Western world, no one celebrates a new road.
No.
You see a bad road one night. I saw that in the UK one evening. There was a bad stretch of road, and from about 11 p.m. they started work, and by 5 a.m. the road had been fixed, and nobody came saying, "Let's clap for God." It was not headline news. Yeah. But here in Nigeria, we have to clap for everything.
Yeah, that's because they see it as their right. You know. When the government comes into power, they have a duty to the people. And the opposite of duty is a right. So if someone has a duty towards you, you have a right from that person. So that's how it operates. So if the government's duty is to provide good roads, is to build infrastructure, and the citizens are doing their own duty by paying taxes and all of that, then the government should give them these infrastructure. Is their right. So we shouldn't celebrate you for doing what we expect from you. But, see, but when they see these things as, well, we just want to do it for you. I mean, we tried. The governor will come and brag that he bought 40 Okada motorcycle or sewing machine for the widowless, and you see I don't know where they get those people from sometimes. You know, wheelbarrow and some kind of crazy things like that, and you'll be wondering what's wrong with us. You know, and I think let me even go into not just the police, but you see, when we talk about these things and our fundamental rights, let me tell you how much education is important. If you look at the police academy and the way these guys, I watched the video and I was like, oh God, see how they were struggling for a bar and soup that looks like water. It reminds me of my days in command. And that can relate, I'm sure. Boarding school. But that's how they were trained. There's so much disregard for them. Go to the universities, people struggle. Yeah. People suffer, and then you go to class and the lecturers intentionally frustrate you. Yeah. When you come out, your human dignity is affected. And dignity is a fundamental right. And you cannot separate these things. So when the policeman comes out from the academy, his dignity is low already. He sees the person on the street and is already threatened by the person. So this guy comes with a flashy car and an iPhone, and it's like, I'll go academy. Where you go?
How you take by iPhone?
Already it affects them. So you can see the relationship between these things. And if we don't see these as our rights and they don't make it a right that we can enforce, we keep having these issues.
So is the End SARS movement or also an opportunity to let government know we have rights as citizens? For example, the right to protest.
Can I say something
Yes.
first? One thing I realized, especially during this protest, is that we were never really taught how to transition from a military regime to a democracy regime. So many traumas have been unaddressed in this country till tomorrow that if you were to sit down and unpack, you realize that our forefathers are still bleeding
from the pain,
from
and
the
injuries.
effects.
Yes.
When we were out protesting, right, people would look at us. I had a placard that said, SARS is just the beginning, fix the system. And people would read it and be like, yeah, you guys are doing good. You guys are doing good. Like, you could see hope in the generations before us.
Yes, but you see, again, let me speak and you can speak. It's, you see, our generation seems to have lost hope.
I realized that when this happened.
Yeah.
And we're looking to your generation to say, look, what we could not do, you guys, we're seeing you do it. Go on and fight the battle for us. And I think, you just that statement brings that back. So there was encouragement from lots of, older generation who, because the whole of the country was in pain. Look, things are tough, things are tight. Lots of parents are not even able to pay their school fees. And to find young people who didn't have fear. Look, let me tell you, I was concerned after what happened at Lekki took place, 2010, 2020. And I thought to myself, by the next morning, these youths would have cowered in and would no longer be on the streets. When I heard that the protest continued, I was like, wow, these ones are fearless.
They're different.
And I also think it's that the system hasn't, we have benefited from Nigeria. Your generation, I don't see the benefit yet. So it's a case of, well, we've gotten nothing and we've not seen anything good. So let's fight for our rights. So back to you, Aliyah.
That's actually perfect. That fearlessness is actually that's the theme, and for our whole generation, because we have never experienced military regime. I don't think anybody here has ever seen more than 10 soldiers on the road and you are like, this is normal. That's not a normal reality for us.
Yeah.
My father tells me stories. I was like, really? Abacha was like this? What? Try this now. Because, and when you go on Twitter, people were calling on international, like, oh, come on. And I was like, see, Africa is bleeding. Apart from what's happening in Nigeria right now, you have Namibia, Congo, Ivory Coast, so many places. So now is the time for us. Not even to go to Thailand and all these other countries in the Asian continents. So you realize now that nobody is going to come to our rescue. it is us.
On your own.
This problem is facing us. For people that have never left the shores of Africa, some people that have never left the shores of Nigeria, you realize that, look, even if you want to say you want to make money right now in Japa, you will still come back to Nigeria, because it's either you're going to face racism or you're going to face one thing or the other that is going to break you down and send you back to your country. And you're just like, which devil am I going to choose now? Like, it's that deep for us. So people sit down here and they send their children to school, and their children go through different things like racism, this and that and that. And they're like, look, see, whatever happens, I have to come back to Nigeria. But then they come back to Nigeria and they realize that apart from the fact that I have a community of people who are here for me, the Nigerian system may have nothing for me, but I have a community that is here for me. That's the only reason why people would stay in Nigeria.
Okay.
But then we now forget that, I want to word this right, we haven't been taught as well how to take over from the generation that's currently existing. So you sit down and you tell me I'm the leader of tomorrow, and you've told 10 of us, 20 of us. This is the reason why the movement has no leader, because every single one of us is a leader. You have told all of us you are the leaders of tomorrow. Oh yeah, it's time for us to lead now. Let us lead. Oh, you don't want us to lead.
You're not waiting for permission.
I don't need your permission to lead.
And the president is how old?
70.
78
Well,
or something.
they said this one now is Buhari part 3, that he has died 2-3 times now. So now the Buhari we're seeing right now is not the real one. But whichever one, I'm sorry, it's just.
Now, looking at the protest, for those of you that were involved, what was your experience like? Yes, what was your experience?
Okay, sir, I was overwhelmed by the fact that youth could be disorganized. So, okay, there was a particular story of a lady that has one leg.
Yes.
She was yes, I saw her at Wuse too. So this lady passed, and
was
by
that
the time
in
I came,
Abuja?
yes, it was at Wuse
wow.
too. She was with us on Saturday. And she walked all from Unity Fountain down to Banex, down like that to Wuse Market, and we came.
Seeing her, you cannot get tired.
You can't get. I said it was very inspiring.
Right to get tired.
You can't
It
get
was
tired.
very
Seeing
inspiring.
her.
By the time I came back home that evening, then I saw that she needed 500,000 naira to get
A prosthetic
prosthetic leg.
Yes.
By the end of that day, I mean 4 hours, they had raised 3.5 million. By the next morning, they had raised 7 million.
7 years.
During the protest, sir, nobody was allowed to drop trash on the ground. There were people practically carrying bean bags. I saw somebody hit a passerby's car, and then people yelled at him, "Don't touch anybody's car. It's a protest of no violence." So I was really overwhelmed by the fact that the youth could organize themselves so well that there was no violence, there was no disorder, there was no, there was no anything of that you could connote to be bad in what they were doing. All they wanted to do was make their statement and be heard.
You know, I joined the protest when they went to the city gate, and I remember filming this guy. So and I was observing this guy who went with a black bean bag, and every time gala wrapper was dropped or a drink, he was just so committed to his job. You know, like, this is my assignment here.
Wow.
I must keep. And there was such order, such decency that was imaginable in our days when we protest. I mean, the truth is, you littered the ground, you didn't care.
Sir, do you know that even the person that was collecting the monies would tell how much had been spent,
accountability,
how much was left, how much in dollars, how much in naira, how much in Bitcoin, how much in euros was left till today? That is how accountable we can be as a youth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I think the first time I joined the protest on Saturday, like we've talked about Nigeria before and how you loved Nigeria before. I think that was my own experience of what Nigeria truly feels like. Like, being there at that point, I was actually proud of my country. I remember singing national anthem by Banex Junction there. It was really emotional. Like, we all stood at attention, and everyone, we were shouting at the top of our lungs, shouting the national anthem. Everything was well coordinated. They had security teams, they had dogs, they had ambulance, they had everything. That's the Nigeria that we imagine. That's the Nigeria that we want. That's how we see our country.
You know, you mentioned security team, and I know in one of my tweets and posts, I'd used the words the ability of youths to evolve strategy. Now, security became an issue when hoodlums were released. Now, you see, so let me ask you, who do you think was responsible for the hoodlums being released? It's point blank because we need to know.
No. Were the hoodlums part of the protest?
Were they part of the protest?
Yes,
were they
sir,
protesters
sir,
that transmogrified and became hoodlums? You know,
Yes.
morphed or something. Who?
So it's going to be a little bit deep in this particular issue because it has a little bit of religious inclination. So most of the hoodlums that came out, from those that were caught and interviewed, you could clearly hear them say that these people want to overthrow their brother from government. So there was a bias.
The tribal,
There was a sentiment.
religious
Exactly.
thing.
So they came not even knowing that these people are fighting for a
For
better
you.
Nigeria for everybody.
For you, yeah.
For all they cared, their tribal man is the president, and the South and the West and the East want to overthrow the North. I have seen videos of a Northerner saying they have to at this time continue to put their heads together. This is what has brought them this far. They must not allow any of the South, East, or West take over the country. It has been their right, and it's because of their cooperation and their unity that they have come this far. So they must keep that intact. And I think it's faulty. All I tweeted at that post was that this is not smart. And I know it was just amazing how a lot of people responded to it. It was not a smart thing to say. People started to suggest that we should report this person to Twitter because he is bringing up an issue that will incite a different dimension of what we are looking for.
So why is there such a struggle to change the narrative? I realize that there's such force and emphasis and deliberate action to change the narrative.
There's
why?
always been this tactics of divide and rule. So if they're able to create a scenario that some youths are saying no, because already they are addressed as pro-SARS. So obviously they are pro the government in whatever situation we are in. So there's this tactics of these people are saying no, these people are saying yes. Allow them to keep fighting. They'll fight themselves and everything will die down.
I saw hoodlums, videos of hoodlums in SUVs.
Yes.
Now, and where did they get? Well,
no,
I think
they weren't driving the SUVs. They were not driving the SUVs. Supposed government officials brought them in the
suited
SUVs.
men.
The Kabusa issue started in my front. I was going to Apple just to change the speaker to the car, and then I was just at that junction when I saw them coming. Sadly, sir, Nigerian police van brought hoodlums.
Nigerian police.
Yes, written police. The black
yes,
the black pickup van,
van.
Hilux. It brought hoodlums. The videos you saw, sir, they are they look like DSS people to me, in suits and ties with the black bulletproof cars with the covered plate numbers. Some people even think they are cars from the presidency.
You know, the question is, has there been a response from the presidency on those videos?
We'll find out by 7.
That is
by 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
We're hoping that we'll not see him watching himself live too this time, because the last time he went live, he was watching himself live. So we really need to.
Well, you know, the feelers. So the president is speaking today at 7, and the feelers that I've gotten on WhatsApp, you know, before this program, are not nice at all. What were you expecting from the president as, in quote, the father of the nation? When you guys began to walk the streets, and I say this because there's a statement that's been made here prior to now, and it's from Osas when he talks to his father.
Yes.
And his father says something like, "What do you know?" You know, and I've been a child too. There's nothing as painful as trying to get your parents' attention and they willfully ignore you. So I can feel the motion. So do you think the president of Nigeria has ignored you? Do you think the Senate has ignored you? The House of Reps? What's your feel? You began to protest. Do you feel ignored? Because Again, they say they have responded. So SARS disbanded, and SWAT, Special Weapons and Tactics. I mean, they use the name that you use, swag name. SWAT.
I think Trevor Noah described that properly when he said the change from SARS to SWAT is like you have a bad child and his name is Brian, and Brian is crying. I'm like, why are you crying, Brian? Why are you crying, Brian? Okay, you know what? Your name is gonna be Bevan. Take so that's and that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, what it is.
So they just changed it from SARS to SWAT, and they just told us, okay, they will remove the guys from the guys that used to be in SARS will not participate in this new team. But we all know that's almost impossible.
What did you want in the SARS protest? What were your five for five? So what was it? And let's look at it. Has government responded? Is that enough?
So the 5 things we asked for in response to the 5 things they gave to us was that immediate release of all arrested protesters, justice for all deceased victims of police brutality, and appropriate compensation for their families, setting up an independent body to oversee the investigation, prosecution of all reports of police misconduct within 10 days. That was when? That 11th of October, today is 21st, right?
First, yeah.
So by now it should have been
done.
In line with the new Police Act, psychological evaluation and retraining to be confirmed by an independent body of all disbanded SARS officers before they can be redeployed. Increase police salary so that they are adequately compensated for protecting lives and properties of citizens.
Okay, so if we stay with this 5 for 5, how much of it has been done?
Well, only Lagos, to the best of our knowledge, has attempted to even start ticking the list. But now he has undone everything that he thinks he was doing with what just happened.
Yeah.
So, with what you asked, what should we have expected the government to have done? People are coming and people are dying. First of all, you tell them, look, you give us daily updates. When COVID was happening, Sanwo-Olu is the only person that we've been hearing from. Is he the only person in Nigeria? Like, it makes no sense why Peter Obi or all the other people.
Willie Obiano. Yes, Obiano.
I can't pronounce.
The governor of Anambra State.
Him. He's not the only person. Those are not the only 2 people. We have 36 states in Nigeria.
I think Governor Wike too spoke.
Port Harcourt.
Yes, Rivers State.
First banning the protest, hence making more protests come. So, first of all, their strategy was completely wrong. They did not know how to manage the situation. They went back to the old books to treat a new problem. They decided that instead of rationalizing, and they wanted a leader that they will carry as scapegoat. But we know all these things. We've sat down, even though you didn't allow history to be taught to us in schools, we have seen what you people do. So we will not throw somebody under the bus and let them die and then we'll go and sit down in our houses. No, we don't even want to take power. We did not ask for power.
But they will say they sat with some of your people, that they sat with Davido, they sat with Shagale, there was Korede Bello.
That was what.
Yes, no, those were there.
That
So
was what,
you have
that
to
was
let us
what
know.
caused.
Well,
that was what
who is
made-
Davido?
Who is Davido?
Exactly.
Yes,
That was
That's
what
an
caused.
interesting
That was what
question.
caused one of the problems Sega Links is facing right now.
Okay.
The stand has been there is no leader. So Davido and Co and all those people talking on behalf of you. You know, I saw a video of people saying we did not delegate anybody to speak on our behalf. What we would demand is the government come to us when it's time for elections. Somebody said that no matter how local or remote a place is in Nigeria, ballot boxes will get there. People will get PVCs in those places. Why is it so difficult for the government to just come out and address these people? That was the height of the agitation. We did not send anybody to speak on our behalf.
Okay.
We are saying, come and meet us here. Let's talk.
Do you think if the president had spoken to you people earlier, it would have helped to calm
Things
down?
So I
They would
believe
have still been here.
the military people and the police people that continued killing would have not done that if the president had come out. Because
Okay, so
for him,
there
he
won't
would
have
have
been
committed
loss of
himself.
lives,
He would
yes.
have already committed himself in talking with us. And then
the police and the military will not do things after the president has talked.
So
Sorry, sir. I saw people chanting with soldiers that only said, "We are in support of you." That means if the government had shown that they cared, there would have been calm.
So for you as young people, borrowing from what Osa said, the silence not just from him, other state governors who have literally kept mum, is like making demands on your parents and they ignore you. Lalu, you want to talk or who?
I think not only government officials. I mean, if we take a cue from the Black Lives Matter movement, I mean, till today you still see football. When they play football, they all go down and take a knee.
Yeah.
I think all our banks, telecom organizations, and all those big corporations, I think they failed the youths seriously. A lot of their consumers are young people, and we came out to cry and we said that they should stop killing us, that police should stop killing us, and they couldn't even put up one ad to show solidarity. I think if they had put up ads to show solidarity, it would have legitimized the movement even more and made it look very corporate and even more organized. I think the organized private sector, I think they really failed Nigerians. This was our chance to really speak to government and teach them how to run, because government is no different than a big organization. Some organizations get more revenue than Nigerian government, and they manage them effectively. So if we had the organized private sector come out to actually show solidarity with us, I think we would have gone a long way to do something.
But most of these organizations you talk about are not Nigerian companies. You'll be wondering, why do I have to dip my hands into this? Why? Yes.
Yes,
that's what they will tell you. Let's be frank about it. Tell you, hey, it's not my problem. I don't want to fight your government.
There's this relationship of, I have paid you to get my way. You will lose your authority over that person. If somebody is getting something not through the right channel or through the right means. For example, if I for example get a job because I paid for it, whoever my superior is will not get my maximum respect, because he has lost a bit of his power to control me, because I will feel entitled that I had paid to get this job. So there's that kind of relationship with most multinationals and the government or government agencies, where they pay their way through to get into spaces or to get contracts or to get stuff. Apparently, the government in that process will lose their authority or their full power to control these people or curtail their excesses or even implement some of the things they are supposed to do and even monitor them to the letter.
We had Nigerian organizations or companies, oil companies, that refuse to sell fuel to protesters. So it's not only multinationals. There were indigenous companies that refused to support this whole movement because they are probably friends of the government.
Ask for free.
Not for free.
But you know, Dami, you got some support. Food
is not enough. You still need at least a yes from these companies. You need a lot of them to put it up on their website. End police brutality. End SARS. But a lot of them are trying to be
government, and then it was foreigners that were doing this for us.
Let me say
foreign footballers, foreign organizations, people like Jack Dorsey or Twitter. Somebody was even threatening Jack Dorsey on his app.
Yeah, on his own app. You come to my territory.
Yeah.
Okay. Any comment?
Okay.
Is your SAS who wants to speak?
With regards to support from companies, we tend to underestimate government. No company dare go against the government and perspective. You dare not.
So that's
just by seizing licenses. It's as simple as that, and that's all.
That's a challenge. Good you brought that in, because especially in Africa, where the government wields an axe and they are, God Almighty, landlord, everything. If you play ball, you're allowed to conduct your business. If you don't, they just come and ask you.
Okay, but what if we have several companies coming together and standing for this?
That naturally will be tough, for them to be asked.
So that is an anomaly we think should change. That is also something we want changed in the new Nigeria. We don't want things to run that way anymore. It is wrong. Government should be able to handle government business as government. The private sector should also be able to handle the private sector as private. There's a rule of business entity. The business is different from its owner. So if you are taking a business to court, for example, you are taking the business as an entity, not the people who run the business. If we understand these things and separate government from people or businesses, these are some of the things we want changed. We agree that that is the situation now, but that is not what it should be.
Okay, I mean, this, for those of you just joining us, we should have actually, turned to you. I'm sure you're enjoying this conversation and you're connecting with, especially the young people who are out there, with young people like you. And if you've got any questions or anything you want to bring out, I think you have room to post it on our platform, or your comment as well, and we'll hope that we'll be able to look to it. Now, let me take you to a day that I've defined as a day that will live in infamy for the rest of our lives. 2010, 2020. How was that day for you? Have you recovered yet?
For me personally, I don't think I've recovered, because I was actually in Lagos that day.
Wow.
Yes, I was actually in Lagos that day. I went to Lagos to do something, and when the thing started, I think I took the last flight out of Lagos that night back to Abuja, because I was in Lagos when the governor announced the curfew. So, and I'm not a Lagos boy, so I needed to come back to Abuja. On my way back, I started seeing videos of the, attack by the Nigerian military. And I've still not recovered, because what I saw in Lagos, the roadblocks, the protests and everything. So I was now, I was just trying to relate the killings and what I saw in Lagos that day. So, and I strongly believe that almost all of us seated here haven't recovered. And it's going to take a very long time for us to recover. And it's a very, very sad day.
And I think what's even more painful is the fact that they are denying it. I think that's the most painful.
Well, they said it didn't happen. We're hearing all kinds of conflicting, issues.
Yeah. So, what I recall that day was checking my Twitter feed, looking at reports from Facebook. A rush of emotions came passing by: fear, anxiety, stress, confusion. So when you have government, deploying soldiers on peaceful protesters, so rather than using the full force like live bullets, you could have used rubber bullets, but that's not available.
I don't think they have rubber bullets. I don't think it's part of, they do. I've never heard them in all my life use rubber bullets or tear gas.
They could have used tear gas. They could have, but the least they could have done was to deploy police officials to at least keep it from being violent. But deploying the maximum level of security, soldiers on civilians, that is pure tyranny.
Yeah. I remember by 4 p.m. because on the tribe group chat, we try to keep our members up to date with everything going on, so people avoid hotspots and dangerous locations. I remember by 4 p.m. one of our members had been following up with everything going on in Lagos. He was like, people in Lagos are not going anywhere. They are by the toll gate. They're not going anywhere. They stand there. We move. And 4:30, they're still there. I think AY just addressed them. He had left, and everything was going fine. And then by about 5:36, we started hearing reports of gunshots. So all of us on the group chat were like, "Hey, confirm, make sure, don't spread information if you're not sure." And then people are like, "What are you saying? Like, we're here, we can see it like live, like they are shooting." And then before you know, videos start coming up, more images, everything.
And there was a live feed also.
And then there was a live.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I can make up this is I think the government has a formula they use. It's kind of a criminalizing a voice that stands out to ask for justice, to protest what is right. We've seen it over the years, people that come out true to really challenge government, they have a way of just criminalizing them and shutting them up.
Yeah.
And then the other strategy they use is they weaponize the illiterates.
Yeah.
So that's a formula they use, and we would have to really try to stand on what is true and right, and make sure we're not our hands are not stained, so that whenever they try to criminalize us, they find nothing on us.
I think one of the ways I think I posted something about educating people, like shining light and everything. So while all this was going on, the NSAS movement, I noticed a couple of my northern Muslim friends. I mean, they weren't really sharing as much, or they weren't really as involved. So I took it upon myself to question them. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I mean, are you part of the Nigerian youth? Like, what's going on? And I had to really push them. And after that, I noticed a change. Like, they started posting more. They would try and post posts that were actually very neutral, that spoke directly to police brutality. They won't really talk about bad governance and stuff like that, because they don't want to go against their person. They spoke directly to police brutality. And that, for me, I think that I was okay with that. So I think we need to do more within ourselves. If you know people that are from a particular side that we need to educate, I think we need to educate them more and more.
Excuse me, I saw on social media a video where a celebrity was crying out and was naming names that there are some celebrities that would go to sit with these government officials, these politicians, and they give them money to shut their mouths off. They come out with a voice, but they call them and they have a round table, and then they are gone. We don't hear their voices again. He was very agitated about it.
That was such a very painful night. I think that night, even for me, I just got 1 hour's sleep. To watch the live feed of what was going on, and I still haven't recovered from it, even as a person. But you see, again, is that post 2010, 2020, the government claims nobody died. I have pictures of people who are injured, bullet wounds, quite a lot of them. But you know, there's a saying that nobody really died, and that has become an issue today, because where are the people who died? I know that it is wrong to fire at unarmed protesters. So that's one. Whether people died or not is another issue. So, I mean, do you have any? Are there records to support the deaths? Because again, we hear that the soldiers carried away the dead bodies as well.
All reported.
So there's a lot of records. I mean, most of the videos we have seen on social media is enough proof. Some people who were there with family members or friends or relatives, particularly some were able to take their corpse away. And I mean, we've seen people whose partners have sent out messages to cry about we were supposed to be together forever. So they actually have these corpse or the wounded bodies. But what really was painful for me that day, sir, we had a tip that a soldier cannot fire at a citizen holding the Nigerian flag. So I think, again, that was one of the reasons these people were so bold, that even when soldiers were approaching, they kept waving the flags. And then waving the flag was not enough. They started to sing the national anthem.
Yes.
So naturally, anywhere I hear the national anthem, I have chills. Growing up, I grew up in Kaduna, and I was largely involved in march passes, you know, Children's Day march passes. We go then to Murtala Square and all those places.
Yes.
So the national anthem means a lot to me.
Okay.
I mean, even the lyrics, even the words of the national anthem, there has been no day that it was so important. There has been no day that it was so effective like that day. I mean, hearing people cry out that the labor of our leaders past shall not be in vain. And then you were shooting, and then we were raising up the national flag. I mean, it has just been a really new, I mean, it's a defining moment for me.
Has this raised questions in your mind as regards your place as a citizen in Nigeria? Are you questioning that? And do you need
Yes.
answers? We need to look at that quickly.
What we
Yes.
need to ask ourselves is: are we really a nation? Because it's
Okay.
it's not just are we Nigerians? Are we really a nation? A nation is supposed to have an ideology.
Okay.
When an American brags that he's an American, it's because there's something they believe in. Do we really believe?
But
in
we
this
hear that
country?
a lot of Nigerians brag abroad. Talk about,
Yeah.
I'm a Nigerian. So what is the
Yes.
Nigerian ideology? Because we can't just talk about the problem. We have to look at the solution. So what is it that you want? What do you want to see? Because if we live here and we just talk about all that has happened, we're just doing what people do, the common thing where we complain and we whine. So what do we want to see? What is it that we're demanding beyond 5 for 5?
Egosa mentioned one, which is educating the people.
Okay.
We need to teach a lot of people about human rights, about the nation, about Nigeria, about everything concerning us. They need to understand that it's beyond region, it's beyond religions, beyond tribe. You know, we need to see ourselves beyond that first. So that level of education needs to go out.
Okay.
From the primary schools to the secondary schools,
tertiary institutions,
even the religious institutions, and all of that.
We're going to have to touch that before we leave. Yes. Now, what do you want to see?
So there was a video that circulated online, and it showed on the Lekki Toll Bridge that there was a barrier of fire and there was an ambulance trying to get to civilians that were injured. So you then had soldiers stopping them and turning them around. So if at all there were no deaths, the government played a hand in preventing people from the injured getting medical aid. So from that point of view, I think we would have to see an improvement in the value of life of its citizens.
Value of life of the citizens.
So when you have a situation in more developed countries, you have, such as this one, you have the American government issuing warning notices to their citizens in Nigeria saying that they're ready to pull them out and bring them back to their home country because of what's going on. So in that situation, I'd like to see the government show that every single life
is important. Yes.
Okay.
Every life matters. Yes.
We say that we're a democracy, but are we really a democracy? Because I mean, if you can, our rights don't count. So we need a Nigeria where our rights actually matter. We know our rights and they actually matter.
Really matter. Okay. Osas?
It's a complex issue. I'll be living in denial to say we are united, or I will expect that we'll be united in the nearest future. So we need to work on the aspect of unity first. This whole protest brought a lot of things to the fore. The level of disunity. The Hausa guys, known as the Arewa guys, they were so disconnected about this whole thing. It
looked like SARS was a southwest, southeast
yes,
problem.
They were after Yahoo boys, so on and so forth. So there has to be unity of purpose first. There's no unity of purpose. There's a great disconnection.
So if there's a problem, if the southwest has a problem, it should hurt the northeast. But you should feel the pain.
You know, adding to that, the north has its own challenges, but yet there just was silence. I mean, I had to tweet and say, I'm shocked that the north is silent tonight. And that was 2010, 2020, because there was an eerie, incredible silence.
Exactly.
And yet there's insurgency, people are dying, you know, infant mortality and many social issues they're dealing with, rape and all kinds of things. But it's just that divide mechanism that's like, it's their thing.
Okay, let me say something. But
Yeah.
When the protest started, I saw something that I wasn't comfortable with. When Aisha, Yusufu did something, one guy came up and said, protest is non-Islamic. So I sat back, I was like, is this non-Islamic issue the reason why the Northern guys don't really like protest?
It's part of it. I can't remember, but I've read a script from the Quran that you should not protest against your leaders. But there are other people who have come out to say it's a wrong interpretation of it. But there is just, so there are two things. One is the Islamic factor, and the second thing is he's a man. So we cannot pull, and you see, the idea of pulling down government, were you guys trying to pull down Buhari's government?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We actually need him to complete his yeah, we need him to complete his
treason.
administration.
But I mean, we get you.
When we say not, when we mention Arewa, I know Bivan is from Kaduna.
Again,
Yes.
you see,
Yeah.
so
What not are we talking about?
well, Bivan is from Kaduna, so they are now put in the middle belt. Now, but the truth is he's from the north. But they try to, you see, it's the political system, divide and rule when it's convenient. I'm from Kwara, and Kwara is termed north politically. But you see, when the lines are really drawn, you are not considered to be one of them. So we've got those challenges in Nigeria we still have to deal with.
The term Arewa implies the Hausa Muslims, not the.
No,
It means the north.
Arewa
Not
is
so.
north.
Okay.
Yes.
Literally translates to north.
Okay, I take back my
So
word then.
we're,
Sure,
we're-
I
yeah.
mean, it's also
So, sir,
educating.
I think there's
so-
there's also this problem of the attached leadership to religion. That is why a person who is a leader, even in government, to them is also a religious leader. That's how it is seen.
okay.
That's why the Sultan of Sokoto is the #1 Muslim, according to how they see their leadership.
Both political and
yes,
religious.
so both political and religious is married together.
Okay.
That's why they will tell you that religiously it is wrong to protest against your leader, because it is like protesting also against a religious leader.
Oh wow.
Go, sir.
Yeah, if we go back to the discussion around solutions,
Yes.
I'm a really practical person. I'm a HR professional. So if you're thinking of reforms, the first thing you have to look at in an organization is the mission and vision. So some companies go as far as creating graphic pictures or videos of what their company should look like. If you want to really change Nigeria, we need to create an idea of what Nigeria should look like, create videos of what Nigeria should be, and then communicate. I mean, how long did it take us to set up this town hall meeting that we're having now? This is the best way to communicate with people. So you have senators around the country that have their constituents. You have House of Reps members. I think they represent Nigeria the most. Go back to your villages, go back to your locations, have town hall meetings like this monthly. Before the situation gets into the streets, you would have dealt with it in your town hall meeting.
Okay.
As you're discussing, you're going to discuss with young people. Mix it up, illiterates, literates, old, young, get demographics. When we do group studies, what do they call that? Focus group discussions. You get different people from different areas. Sit with them. You're being paid over $44,000 a month, and you can't hold one town hall meeting a month. Then you're joking. This is what's going to happen. People would gather
Put
in the
it in
streets.
naira. I think you said 35 million naira. I think
5
that's what-
million, yes.
Yes. You say 44,000
Yeah.
to look really small. It's almost 35, 39 million
If,
naira.
if you don't do this, that's how you nip it at the bud. That's how you get a feel. If you can't go on Twitter, like the rest of us that have cell phones that simply go on Twitter, hold town hall meetings, get to meet them face to face. When it's election time every 4 years, they say we only see you every 4 years. When it's election time, you're good at going there. My dad is a politician. I know how they go to villages. I know if you come to my dad and you tell him that you're from Edo State, he will ask you where, and he will describe how to get to your location. They know these things. They really do. They really do. If you want to get the people, hold town hall meetings. Before it gets to the streets, you would have solved the problem there.
Okay. Well, I'll let you talk. Maybe I'll let you talk first if I ask my question.
The issue of solutions, I think in Nigeria, there are no consequences for our actions and inactions. That's why an Oba can decide COVID palliative in his palace because he knows that nothing will happen to the palliative and nothing will happen to him as well. So I think we need to work on let there be consequences for all our actions and inactions in Nigeria. If you're a public office holder, there should be consequences for doing or not doing something. So we need to work on consequences. And also, sir, I think for us to reform the country, there should be a level of trust for the government. if I don't trust my pastor, I won't come to his church.
Pastor, you follow us much now. We'll
go follow. So I don't know how we should do it as a nation, but or as the president needs to find a way of making us trust him, or we should find a way of making we should find a way of trusting the office of the president. Most times I tell people that the office of the president of Nigeria is almost the most powerful president in the whole world. The powers of the office of the president of Nigeria is mind-blowing and mind-disturbing. So if I find myself in Aso Villa, the first thing I'll work on is to develop trust, because I won't be able to lead a people who don't trust me.
Are you campaigning?
Yes, sir. Well, the earlier we start, the better.
I mean, this has been an enriching conversation. I want to ask a question before we close. And I'm not even sure we can close yet. No, we can, but we probably will need to do a part 2. We've been here 90 minutes, and it's amazing how 90 minutes has gone. So here's the question. Is this movement over?
I just got started.
That's just the beginning.
It just got started.
It's an ideology. It can't end. It can't end with bullets.
It can't end now.
It's an ideology.
You know, that's a critical question, because I don't sit where you sit. And you guys have connections, you know, across this country that has been enriched and enhanced by social media. And it's good to know. And it's good for the government also to know. And so if they know, and I don't know who's there, you know, who might be watching and has the ears of government, but when you know that the young people are not going to give up, then you need to begin to engage them. I've always said this, that, and right through I said, you see, there's something about crisis management that people see crisis as, you know, an attempt to destroy them or an event that destroys them, but you can turn a crisis and make yourself look good at the end of the day. And I think the government could have come out looking good. I mean, going back to 2015, there was the change mantra. And there were times when Nigerians sympathized with the president to a degree and felt the cabal had trapped him. Now, here are youths who are clamoring for change. Therefore, use them as the catalyst to bring a disruption in the system and to dismantle whatever structures and truly restructure Nigeria and turn it, you know, turn things right. This can be used to cut government spending. Just to say, well, our youths are putting a demand on us, and we're going to respond by saying, look, first of all, the Inspector General of Police should step down. And that would have calmed things down. Nigerians have been clamoring for a change in the service chiefs. We will make sacrifices and ask, maybe the Chief of Defense, even if I don't want to change all of them, I can ask the Chief of Defense Staff to step down. And the young people will feel, oh, I'm doing something. Then we will cut the cost of governance and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, and would say, we expect the National Assembly to do likewise. And that you've shifted pressure to the National Assembly. And then I would move for a cabinet reshufflement and say, we would give, even if it's 5 ministerial positions, to young people. And we'll extend that to all other government agencies and ensure that maybe 20% to start with will be, you know, positions for young people. Now, if the young people now say after that we still want to protest, Nigerians will call them and say, look, you are asking for too much. I mean, the government has shown you that they're willing, and look at X, Y, Z things they've done. Yeah. And that would go a long way. But sadly, we're not seeing that happen. And even in the president's speech tonight, it's not even reflected, because I've got a glimpse of that speech. It's not even there. So it's really, I don't know what to say. It's heartbreaking.
Serious one.
I think okay, sorry. Yeah. One of the things that I mentioned, I mean, it goes back to like the way you run an organization. Let's take Lighthouse for example. Lighthouse has a vision and everything. Yeah. And that vision indicates the kind of department it needs to set up. Like of recent, I joined the LISA team, and I got to hear the reason why LISA was established, to train people. So now, if we have a clear vision of what Nigeria should be, then you know the ministries that need to be set up. Then we as young people, we know the part that we need to play. Let's make it plain. Let's look at it. Then we know, all right, this is where my strength is. That's where I can help Nigeria grow. But as Nigeria, we have no vision. I don't know how to contribute to make Nigeria the Nigeria of my dreams.
It is really terrible to ignore a section of your population that is probably the largest. It's a terrible thing to do.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous, exactly. These are
dangerous.
I mean, one way or another, we pay tax in this country, even if it is not personal income tax.
Yeah.
There are taxes that are added to goods and services that you pay.
Yes.
So you have a right to request accountability.
Yeah.
Then I also think, sir, that largely, we need to know who writes Nigeria's budget, because that budget is not a budget that comes from heaven. It doesn't look like a budget that comes from a sane mind. I don't understand why budget for renovating National Assembly continues to reoccur, and then in very large amounts, and then you're neglecting the educational sector. You're neglecting the health sector.
With COVID,
yes,
one
currently
expected a radical
sir, it was
move.
just an end to a means for some people, because some people became billionaires overnight through COVID palliatives and
yes.
relief funds.
We saw the videos.
Then there's also this problem of duplication of responsibilities. You have ICPC, you have EFCC doing the same thing. You have SEC, you have national. There's a Ministry for Budget and Planning. There's a Ministry of Finance. I don't get that.
Nomadic education.
Exactly. I don't understand
And
why.
yet we still have challenges.
Ministry of Finance should handle everything that handles finance.
Yeah.
Ministry of Education should handle everything. Then there should be departments in Ministry of Education that will probably handle primary education, tertiary education, and things like that. It's easier in project management when you break a very big problem. To solve a very big problem, you break it into smaller fractions. Then it's easier to coordinate. It's easier to be accountable. It's easier to direct, and all those things put together. So I believe we know all this. We can't have a country like Nigeria where there are over 500 professors in only Ekiti State, and then what you need to be president in Nigeria is primary school certificate. I mean, it doesn't work. Nigeria is the only place that things happen the other way around, and that too needs to change.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for your contribution. I mean, this has been quite enriching, and I can't thank you enough.
I don't want it to stop, really.
I know. But we need to ensure that you all get home safely, and we'll look forward to, just doing a part 2 of this, because this conversation continues. We're not at the end of the road, and the young people of Nigeria are simply saying the movement is not over yet, and therefore government needs to brace up, and everybody needs to brace up, because the young people literally have found their voice and they found expression within this nation called Nigeria. Thank you all. It's been a wonderful time. And for those of you who joined us at home on this platform, I am sure that you have learned a lot tonight, and you have felt the pulse of the Nigerian youth. From Sola Adesoye and Sola Adebayo on the platform of the Lighthouse Church, thank you for joining us. This conversation comes to an end, and we'll look forward to taking it to another level very soon. God bless you. Have a lovely evening.